We also have new information on the two Arkansas men charged with crimes, and the FBI says they committed at the U.S. Capitol during the riots and unrest last week. Good evening. Thanks for joining us for your 5 News at 10. I'm Darren Bobb.
And I'm Erica Thomas. One is accused of beating a Capitol police officer with an American flag. Another for stealing a letter from the office of Nancy Pelosi.
5 News reporter Juliana Clipson is the latest developments.
Darren and Erica, a second Arkansas man, Peter Stager, is behind bars tonight after turning himself into authorities in Conway, Arkansas. Also new tonight, the FBI is releasing the findings of their search of the Gravitt home of Richard Barnett. Both men are accused of crimes during the riots at the U.S. Capitol. Under that mob lies a Capitol police officer. And investigators believe the man in this video beating him with a flagpole holding the American flag is Peter Stager of Conway.
He voluntarily turned himself in at a local law firm, so I would also like to thank them for helping to arrange that.
Stager told authorities that he didn't know the man he was hitting was a cop and that he thought the person he was striking was Antifa. During the siege of the U.S. Capitol, Stager was also caught on camera saying this.
Everybody in there is a treasonous traitor. Death is the remedy.
Stager's photo gained traction online after being shared on an FBI wanted list. Documents show a confidential source recognized Stager from the social media posts.
It's individuals in the public that are helping us identify the individuals that committed felonies on January 6, 2021.
Also new tonight, federal authorities released photos from inside the Gravitt home of Richard Barnett, who told 5 News in an exclusive interview he entered the office of Nancy Pelosi and took a letter off her desk. Barnett appeared in federal court this week facing several federal charges for his time storming the Capitol. One of those charges, knowingly entering and remaining in a restricted building or grounds without lawful authority with a lethal weapon. The lethal weapon referred to is the stun gun you see here on his waist. During a search of Barnett's home, investigators say they found this package reading "Hike and Strike, Stun Device High Voltage." They believe Barnett carried that weapon into the U.S. Capitol. Jail records show Barnett remains in the Washington County Detention Center tonight, but he is expected to be transferred back to Washington, D.C. If convicted, he could face over a decade in prison. In Johnson, covering news where you live, Juliana Clipson, 5 News.
All right, Juliana, thanks. The Capitol police officer shown being beaten by the mob outside the U.S. Capitol is reported to have survived the attack.